Sydney. I am from Sydney, Australia. My brother and sister had both learned an instrument, and like the thing I do remember about is they played the trumpet and the piano, and I remember wanting to play an instrument, but I picked I had like a catalogue, like they gave me a catalogue of instruments and like just pictures and stuff. I remember picking the one I thought was most different to the guitar, to the piano or the trumpet, because I wanted to do my own thing. And then also when I got the guitar, I just had it before I had my first lesson, I just had it sitting on my lap and I was just playing on it like that. And my sister tried to oh no, you hold it up like this. I was like, go away, you don't know how to do it. I think I've always enjoyed this music, and even some of the first recordings that really got me into the guitar were John Williams playing Barrios, and then he played quite a lot of Latin American music, and or like Ponce's Scatsina Mexicana or something like that. I thought it was so beautiful, and I really loved it. Well, that piece in particular was on a John Williams album of Venezuelan music called El Diablo Suelto. And I started off, actually, I played about a set of 5 pieces, and I think all of them were on that album. Now that I'm learning more about that music and searching deeper and stuff, I'm finding stuff I like just as much or more, which he didn't record, and which maybe they're on old Illyrio Diaz LPs or something, and in some cases he didn't end up publishing the scores, so I'll have to transcribe them. I think more people should do it because it's not that hard. I mean, a couple of the tricks I do, so if I hear a few bars and I've got to transcribe, well, I mean, obviously once you've worked out the time signature and the key signature and some of that stuff, and that's not always straightforward because sometimes they have a whole piece will be in 3/4 and then they have a 4/4 bar or something. It doesn't make sense, but so once you've got all those things, if you've got several bars and you're a bit at a loss of how do you go from here, you just listen to the different layers. So first I will just identify, okay, what's the bass line? And then you're oh, well, there's a B at the start of this bar, that's obviously a dotted minim, and then an A, and then a C, B, A, something like that. And then you just do the bass line for 8 bars, and that's done. And then you listen to the melody, and then you go, okay, you're right in the melody. And then you've just got a few inner voices to do. And the only time that's really hard is when it's poor sound quality, and it's just one chord, and you can't quite hear if it's a 4-note chord or a 5-note chord, and you try and work out exactly what it is. And one trick I found with that is I would just isolate the chord, and I would play that slowly, so I just have the audio going, and I would just check my chord underneath it, and I would play my note, and then I would just check, is that note, yes, that note's definitely in there, is that note, yes, that note's definitely in there, and you've kind of constructed the chord. And it's just so worth the effort. I mean, if you end up with a really beautiful piece that no one else plays, it's no time at all, really. I mean, you could do a great transcription in 2 days, pretty easily, yeah. I don't want to make a big broad generalization, but I think any piece and any style, if you play it really convincingly, it can be really, it was really difficult to do. In university, right, I was playing sonatas, the Tedesco Sonata and the Brauer Sonata and Rigondi Intro, Caprice, and a lot of these big pieces. And so also I just wanted to do something a bit different. And when I started playing some of these little pieces, I found what a unique challenge it is to have a series of 3-minute pieces in a concert, and just to be able to start it, and some of them, or even some of the pieces are even 1 minute, 1.5 minute long, a little Venezuelan tune, and how do you it's over before you've even gotten into it. Whereas with a 20-minute sonata, sure, once you've played it for a long time, you can start it really well, but in any case, you've got a couple minutes to ease into the feel of it, and then you know what I mean? But with these pieces, you can't ease into it. You've got to be so secure that you can start it immediately. So also I think even just the difficulty of small pieces can be underestimated sometimes. Maybe sometimes we assume it's the hardest thing is to tackle a big sonata or a big this or that. But I guess also that depends what your strengths and weaknesses are. you know, I used to have problems with practicing where I'd, what would I do? I used to have a lot of problems with practicing, but one of the problems that I used to have was I would have this really deep anxiety around social commitments, because I love socializing and I love going out and doing that kind of thing. But I was always aware of like what practice I had to do and what was coming up, and so that was always a really conflicting for me. Whenever I went out, I felt guilty I wasn't at home practicing, and whenever I was at home, I was regretting I wasn't out. When I was studying, I used to like try to have everything right. Like I remember me and my friend, we were like, oh, we're not going to have one drink, you know, a week. Or I had one friend and he was like, I'm not going to have a drink 3 months before a concert. And, you know, you do all these sorts of like rituals and preparations to try and make yourself play your best. And you always have to do 4 hours of practice on the day, and you have to like play every single bit and all this. And the chair has to be just the right height and everything. You know, you can get really OCD about it. And I found it like, it's kind of like cognitive behavioral therapy. I found it easiest when I just did the opposite of that. So often I'll take up, like it helps me play well in a concert when I deliberately try to sabotage myself. Because if I try to feed the monster that is everything has to be perfect, then that just psychs me out. So yeah, I'll, like if someone offers me a drink, you know, the night before a concert, I'll be like, well, what should I do? I should go get a good night rest. So I go out and I have a drink.